one of my favorite parts about this is when I talk right before
Lore, a podcast.
To sort of roll right into it.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for Let's Talk Lore. Welcome. My name is Chris. We have Spencer and Tyler, and here we're going to continue to world build on this beautiful world that Spencer's so generously created, and we'd like to invite you to subscribe and follow along with our campaign where we are fleshing out his world through crazy stories and fun dice rolls.
Subscribe. Let's go.
Subscribe.
You know what, Tyler? What are we doing? What are we doing on this session of Let's Talk Lore?
Rolling the character creation, guys.
Important part. So this is like a 3-part session where we sort of go into how to create a character, but also world build around that character. So, without further ado, let's roll some stats for this character. Because believe it or not, stats.
Should we give context here?
Stats? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, should we give some context? Like, I'm a Warforged artificer.
That's all.
And then, you know, well, the subclasses and all that stuff, I guess, is kind of TLDR right now. So,
yeah.
So how many dice am I rolling, and what am I rolling for? We're just rolling for the base stats right now?
Now, I think that you should be able to assign your rolls to the stats that you pick. So you don't have to... When we do our NPC session right after this, where we just create a random NPC, that's hilarious and always very fun on this show. We do strength, dex, con in order, but that's sometimes really crazy for a player character unless you're cycling through them. But since you're going to be using this one for a long period of time, I think it's safe and better for you to sort of maximize the stats that you'd like to have maximized. So if you're a Warforged, I don't know how charismatic you're going to be. Maybe that's a portion of your thing. And if you realize after your class and stuff, you can... Well, have you picked your class?
Yeah, so other than Artificer, do you want me to talk about the subclasses?
Before we roll.
Like, I've never played an Artificer, and I really took a hard look at all the subclasses. And even though I seem to always play tanks in these kind of games, but I am good at it and do love it. It just felt like that armor was by far both the most exciting one to try out. Like, the whole Iron Man thing is kind of cool.
Yes.
And then also it fits with the backstory the best. Perfect. Right? Like, I wouldn't be much of a bodyguard if I wasn't, like, you know, a tank to an extent.
First, let's roll the first. I'm gonna cut you off every now and then, and we're gonna roll one, and then we're gonna readjust how your story goes.
Yeah, so
you're like, I'm really excited to build a tank. It's like, well, I'm just kidding. I mean, you can tell your character.
No, so how do you roll for your stats? This is actually something I've not done before. All the times I've played, I've just gotten like.
So you're gonna roll 4 die, 6-sided die, and you're gonna discard the lowest one, and that will be 1 stat. So that'll be like, let's just say your strength.
One of your 6.
So if you get a crappy
And what happens if you get lower than 8? Is there like a minimum, or is it just like you just really suck at something?
We'll discuss that, and we'll see how bad it is, and then we'll have a reroll.
All right, we'll do roll number 1, and that fell off. Oh, that's pretty decent. So my 3 top dice are a 6, a 5, and a 4. Do you need to see it on screen to verify?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm not 15. That's not bad. That's damn good.
And should I just keep going and do 6 rolls, or do you want to say anything in between?
Then do another one. Yeah, let's get it out. So you got 1.
All right, so we got a 15. 3, 4, 5 is mental math 12. Okay.
Okay, that's
not
bad.
Not terrible.
All right, so tank.
5, 5, 6, 16.
That's
pretty good.
Wow.
3, 4, 4 is 11. So far, so good. I mean, if I'm in double digits for 4 out of 5, yeah.
That 11 could be your wisdom. Well, you did forget your memory. So.
All right. So we got 6, 2, 2, so that's 10.
Okay, that looks like it's going to be...
This is a solid scorchy right now.
I feel like you're
and then 5, 4, 3 again. Maybe I should go to Vegas, guys. What the hell?
5, 4, 3.
That's 12, I think, right?
All right. You've got 16, 15, 12, 12, 11, and 10. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Low. Low's lowest was a 15, which was insane.
Guys, pretty insane.
which means he can lift up the world. Essentially.
Yeah, a super strong barbarian
Yeah.
bow is kind of a scary thing.
All right, so
cool,
you-
so-
I think that in your character handbook, there should be suggested placements for your top stats. There's also specific bonuses. So I don't know what a war, but I think
Warforged here, I have all these notes that I
Yeah.
got pulled up here.
these are good numbers.
Yeah, I'm
Last
pretty
time
happy
I rolled,
about
the
it.
guy was terrible. Besides Low, that guy might be the best one I ever rolled. I mean, am I going to play him? Probably. Like, it's going to be insane.
Next time you come,
Yeah, so Warforged, he has your Constitution score increases by 2, and 1 under ability score of your choice increases by 1.
So that would be like,
Okay.
you know. But what does it say? So you want him to be a tank, right?
Yeah, and so really, I guess for me, based on what I've read, and again, first time doing Artificer, but it seems like Int and Con are the top 2 that you want. I mean, you could basically go either way. 15, 16 are very close. If you want to go for the tankiest tank, though, gotta put Con for the 16
All right.
team after the bonus. Yeah, it's going to be
So
beefy.
the
Hello.
intelligence. There's a 16 con right there.
Yeah, right. And then, yeah, intelligence would be 15. And then I think we say strength is 12. And then also the Warforged bonuses, where it's +2 to con and then +1 to something else. The something else I think will do int.
Okay, cool. And then your dex, wisdom, and charisma.
Yeah, so I think what I'm going to do, because I'm the butler for an aristocrat, I had to be somewhat of like a smooth operator. So I'll put charisma.
Because I think that charisma, and we haven't done this yet, but charisma and Chris, maybe a good idea for one of these sessions would just be talking about stats and how the stats relate to world building. A very charismatic person can not only like persuade people that certain things exist and certain things don't exist, but you can intimidate. You can. I think it's great, and if you do it correctly, you get more information out of the NPC to world build around. So you're going to come up to my guy and be like, "Where is he? Like, where are you from? Well, tell me the truth." And depending on what you roll, I'm going to spill the beans and tell you. As a dungeon master, I have no idea where this guy's from, and I'm just going to it's from a small town, and I'm going to use my book here to figure out where the hell that is.
But one of your many random live world building sessions.
Yeah. And then for the 11, let's just put it on wisdom, and the 10 on dex.
So he's
The
not
other
very
thing that I read with what I read, and maybe this is wrong, but what I read is that you can get away with really low dex with an artificer armorer because you basically fuse with a full plate at some point. Got to figure that out, but then you just don't need dex anymore. That's what I read. I don't know if it's true.
Dex armor class bonus.
Armor class. Yeah.
But I mean, it's still nice to have for saving throws or initiative or other skill checks.
Yeah.
But not. I mean, Lone Star was an artificer armorer, and he had an 8 dex. So you can get.
Yeah, I think maybe we could swap those two because I'm going to need to learn.
The same either way for wisdom or
think
dex,
about it
10 or 11.
I'll just leave it as it is.
As your GM, you think recalculate your stuff on D&D Beyond. It only gets locked in on Monday at 7:00. So you have until that time to make sure. But I think these are good stats. Now, it's just simple world building around stats, and we'll just maybe conclude with this. I think that not necessarily in this instance, but I guess with the charisma. So when we world build someone like 2 NPCs ago, it was the first NPC that we world built on Let's Talk Lore. We world built this guy. We were rolling, and every little roll kind of creates his character a little bit. So okay, he's not very strong, but he's his wisdom's high. Okay, he's smart, and then his intelligence. Okay, so he can he can sort of manipulate, or his charisma is high, he can manipulate. So then you take a step back and you realize, okay, what are his goals now? Well, based on his character stats, he's weak. So obviously he's trying to compensate for that, maybe. And then there's, what portion of the family is he from, or where is he from, yada, yada, yada. And each of these stat blocks will help you create the world around that individual. So when you have your character and you're not very dexterous in the game, it's going to be hilarious to just have an interaction where you're not very dexterous and see what happens. You're going, as a DM, I'm going to know that you're not dexterous, and I'm going to make you roll that at some point to pick on you. It's or whatever. But I plan to have that happen, not necessarily in battle, but in a world building opportunity, like a role play, for example.
Right.
Like Boot Arbot. One bit of advice
Boot
for when
Arbot.
Spencer does that. The level of Artificer you're going to have a thing called Font of Inspiration that can give you a +5 to any save.
Whoa, guys, this is metagaming. This is metagaming.
It's knowing his character.
The next session, we're going to build a NPC together. Booter, you're going to roll some more dice, but this time we are as well. And we're going to build that gnome who you are, or who you just broke up with.
Up until this point, because whatever happens in Harmony Grove hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Harmony Ceremony, excuse me. This is the person that I am sworn in servitude for. I've never known anything else in my life but serving this person.
I have one thing to leave Booter with for his thoughts on your character. What is your near-term goal? Where do you see yourself going within 2 to 3 weeks?
Question: how much can I spoil about?
Don't spoil it now. Get you thinking about that.
Yeah, so I've got that all written out. I've got a plan for it. But I love
nice.
that you asked that, because it's one of the key things I think people forget is what does your character want? Does he want to be rich? Does he want to find magic boots all the time? Does he want a quiet life on a farm? Does he want to kill everybody?
I like to joke about people when they're not around.
You can stop. We pick on Aaron all the time.
Aaron loves to find flying boots all the time.
Yeah, man. He wants the sneaker wall like they've got in, the celebrities have with their 40 different Jordans. He just wants that.
Yeah, magic boots that make him sink to the bottom of the ocean. He'll just tie on some metal, and sink like in Zelda. That's what he'll do.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, this is a tiny crumb for people, is that basically once this whole thing happens, or I'm no longer the bodyguard of this person, you've got to wonder that I'm going to have a bit of an existential crisis about what is my purpose in life.
Yes,
I'm excited
about that.
And here's another question: did they erase your mind before the harmony ceremony? Are you?
Did it take?
And since it's 100 years in the past, maybe they didn't do a really good job at it. Who knows?
Yes.
Or it was like Y2K, where they didn't think of a rounding error for the year.
And instead of a chaos thing, Chris Jericho comes out, and instead of Chris Jericho, he's a dwarf named Barrico, and everyone just kills him immediately. That might happen too, because quite honestly, I haven't planned the Harmony Ceremony yet.
Well, either way, roll high and subscribe.
Subscribe, guys. Stay tuned for a awesome NPC that we're going to be building right after this. For world building tips, hit the subscribe button.